Think for yourself. Question authority.
What's up guys, welcome back. Now in this video we are being bombarded with the biggest Nintendo Switch 2 leaked information that we have ever seen yet. This is without a doubt the most exciting piece of information that is still basically a rumor. However, it comes from two very credible sources that have corroborated the information themselves. So this looks like it is leaning much more towards the true side of things than the rumor side of things basically, which is extremely exciting, especially if you're excited for Switch 2 like you know I am. On this channel, we've been covering it for a while now. We've been waiting for any piece of information that is more credible to cover, since as we've been seeing lately, a lot of channels and a lot of websites have been jumping on any piece of information regarding Switch 2, even if it's fake, and still reporting on it, which we have not done, that I'm very proud of on this channel. If you're excited about more real Nintendo Switch 2 information, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because we're going to be covering Switch 2 as you would imagine in detail in the coming months. Not to mention games like Metroid Prime 4 that are without a doubt likely going to be targeting this next gen console from Nintendo. So what has been happening, you may ask? Well, we have been getting little pieces of information here and there recently from Gamescom, individual sources who have maybe heard but maybe weren't quite as trusted as these sources we're going to be talking to, but it has been discussed quite a bit over the past few weeks that the Nintendo Switch 2 has been revealed, so to speak, to developers behind closed doors at Gamescom towards the end of August 2023. Now, I did not make a video on this information because there wasn't quite enough details really to make a full-blown video on just that piece of info, because we've been hearing about Switch 2 coming out in 2024, possibly revealed later in 2023 for months and months now. So hearing some murmurs of the Switch 2 being discussed with developers at Gamescom wasn't really surprising, and quite honestly, it was expected, for me at least. However, this new piece of information from Eurogamer and VGC, some of the top most credible sources on the internet, they have actually corroborated that the Switch 2 was in fact discussed at Gamescom behind closed doors, but not only discussed with developers, but they were actually shown tech demos. One of the demos was a version of Zelda Breath of the Wild running at higher frame rates and resolution and details than the original release on this new hardware to show off the new capabilities of the console. But another demo, and this one is much more impressive and much more telling of the capabilities of Nintendo's next gen console that was revealed to developers and showcased, was Epic Games' Unreal Engine 5 Matrix Awakens tech demo, which was originally shown on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S in 2021 as a showcase for the technology that new engine could produce. And now that Unreal Engine 5 is in fact released, games like Remnant 2 have already started to use this, and it looks very, very impressive. However, them showing a Unreal 5 tech demo on the Switch 2 indicates that the Switch 2 is going to be a massive leap over the Nintendo Switch original, and I'm talking gigantic leap if that is the case. And these sources are corroborating together, so it looks like this is leaning, like I said, towards the true aspect. I'm more likely to believe this information now because of this being reported on by these very reputable websites who've gotten this type of information correct in the past. And here in this video right now, you're actually seeing a preview of what this was looking like basically on this next gen Nintendo console that's being shown. I am playing here the PS5 version of the tech demo of the Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5. And even though it's not running at 60 frames per second, it was back in 2021, they still had more optimization to do, they talked about, on this engine at that time. It shows the technology that was possible. Nanite and Lumen are the main features of Unreal Engine 5, Nanite being the geometry aspect and Lumen being the lighting aspect. Now in Unreal Engine 5, in this tech demo, the Matrix Awakens, they were highlighting the nanite capabilities of them being able to generate gigantic worlds with seemingly infinite draw distances. And due to that new nanite technology in Unreal Engine 5, now I'm not a developer, I can't explain in detail how they're able to pull this off, but basically what nanite does is enable open worlds to be less noticeable in terms of their pop-in and loading of their assets. It's able to generate extremely detailed and in much more larger quantities of geometry in a game world and compress it to work on a current gen console like a PS5 or Xbox Series X, and apparently now Nintendo's next gen Switch. Now you may think, how are they going to get this to run on a portable console, since the next gen Switch 2 most likely will of course be another portable. But we have to remember that in terms of current technology, even in regards to the Steam Deck has been vastly outperformed even now, since it's running on technology that was designed in 2020 and was released in 2021. So this device that Nintendo has been working on has been in the oven for many years now, and we know this. We've been showing in detail on this channel year after year the updates and information of what Nintendo has been working on behind the scenes to get this console ready. From all the way back from when it appeared to be a Switch Pro model to now when it looks like it is a full-blown next-gen console, of course. So in order for them to do this, we have surmised over the past few months to a year or so that they would need at the very least Xbox Series S type of specs while docked. And to have them pull that off in a portable aspect, they would need to have a console that could output in the range between 1.5 and 2 teraflops in portable mode, which is in fact very possible by today's standards. And in 2024, that'll be even more possible as the technology continues to upgrade and increase with the various new processors that are available from Samsung, which I do still believe Nintendo will be working with Samsung to actually make this console, physically make it, to ship it to retailers so you can buy it next year, which would also mean that they will likely be having something like a 4nm to 3nm process SoC for this next gen Switch. And on top of that, as we've been seeing with AMD's FSR3 and Nvidia's DLSS technology upscaling, it will make a next gen Switch that reaches those numbers that may seem on paper to be on par with a PS4 or a PS4 Pro, 2 teraflops, 4 teraflops range, be able to actually output games that look similar to the PS5 and run the same games and get ports from them. And this is crucial for Nintendo moving forward, for them to get ports and for their own development in their teams to create the next iterations of Mario and Zelda to continue to surprise and delight their customers, as they would say. Upgrading to the newest technology, and specifically how they're doing open world technology now with Unreal Engine 5, this was imperative for Nintendo to do, and I've been saying this for years and years now. Despite what people may have said about, graphics aren't important and, Nintendo does their own thing. That is true to a certain extent. However, it is not true when considering how technology advances with developers who are releasing the latest and greatest games. If Nintendo wants to make the most money on their next gen Switch, they're going to want to have a console that can play all the new games coming out, so their own customers who buy the Switch 2 will have the opportunity to purchase the latest games that are being released from these developers who want to release their games on all consoles. Developers don't want to skip Nintendo if they don't have to, but they've been having to lately because of the Switch and its outdated technology. The Switch is only 400 gigaflops of processing power at the max while docked, which is far below what the standard is, and quite frankly, it's amazing the Switch has gotten as many games as it has in the first place at this point in 2023, but now I do think it is definitely time to move on. The Switch has shown in the last few years that it simply reached the end of what it can do to provide something that actually looks decent enough on your HD screen, especially with ports from new games. It simply just can't keep up at this point. Nintendo is going to have to release a new piece of hardware. This looks like they're making the big leap that they need to do. Finally, leapfrog what they were doing with the Wii U and the Switch, because as we know, the Switch wasn't really that big of an upgrade in terms of graphics over the Wii U. A lot of games look very similar, just with better frame rates and a little bit higher resolution on the Switch. This will be a true next-gen console in terms of its processing power from what it appears from this information, and it's something Nintendo simply has to do in order to continue to get the great games that their user base would like to play at home and on the go. So when you think of what the specs range could be for this next gen Switch, it's looking like it could be between 2 to 4 teraflops, portable and docked, when it's all said and done, give or take, of course. We don't know 100% for sure, but it is exciting to speculate on what this spec range could be, and if it's running something like the Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, then you have to think it's at the very least 1.5 to 2 teraflops in portable mode, running it at a lower resolution and then upscaling it while docked, using whatever upscaling technology Nintendo's using. Keep in mind that in VGC's article, they said the demo is said to be running using Nvidia's DLSS technology, but they didn't say any more details really on that. And they also brought out that patent that we talked about that Nintendo filed a while ago researching and developing their own upscaling technology that they could be using for this next gen Switch. And in conjunction with that, they've already been using AMD's FSR. So I do think all things are on the table for this next gen Switch. They could be using their own customized AI upscaling that they've been working on that works very similar to DLSS. And I do expect Nintendo to continue to allow developers to choose FSR 2 or FSR 3 on this next gen Switch because it's open source and it can be used very easily. And we're seeing FSR 2 being used on console and PC games more often than DLSS at this point, which goes to show that it might be much easier just to put in there for FSR for developers than it is for DLSS. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what Nintendo chooses to do. And even though they did say it was running on NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technology for this demo that they displayed at Gamescom for Switch 2, that doesn't necessarily mean the final product will be using that, because a lot of times when companies are demonstrating a new device, they're not actually running on final hardware. A lot of things they're showing could simply be placeholders, so we really don't know until we get the actual console revealed by Nintendo, which could be very soon, or you never know. If they're already showing this information to developers in August, you got to think the reveal of this console is very close, especially now with the more details coming out of what the system can do. The more information that comes out, the less likely people are going to be buying the current Switch because they're going to be wanting to see what this next gen Switch can do. And this information looks really legit, guys. So it's really exciting, and I can't wait to see when Nintendo finally does reveal this. And again, I want to remind you, from what this information is revealing, if this is true, which I'm leaning towards yes it is, then this does definitely indicate that Nintendo Switch 2 is a full-blown next-gen hardware upgrade. It's not a Pro model, and it is a far greater upgrade than the Nintendo Switch. It would be a gigantic leap and exactly what Nintendo needs, and probably have on their hands yet another 100 million selling console. For those who are wondering about, oh, you know, maybe this thing's not going to be very powerful or it can't really run the new games very well, this information, I think, is a really good indication of where we're heading with Switch 2. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and please do hit that like button for me if you're excited for the next generation of Nintendo. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.